Against the backdrop of a raging COVID epidemic and a quite visceral Black Lives Matter movement, Abroad While Black was born. Our goal was to highlight Black perspectives from all over the world. It was our way of proving there are other ways to live, other places to be successful, and different cultures that embrace our Blackness. In 2020, the Abroad While Black team created dozens of responsive hot takes and thoughtful interviews covering topics ranging from current events, business opportunities, dating, and life-changing moments. In 2021, our co-hosts Cordy and Sean aim to share more success stories, more productive introspection, and most importantly, how to relocate to a place that truly values what you offer the world. Abroad While Black is more than a show. This is a social experiment hell-bent on discovering new ways to secure the bag and live our best lives. Join the Abroad While Black squad.
The business. But let me talk about the 4 methods of coming across your valuation or calculating your valuation. The very first one is called the comparison or comparable pricing method. And basically what you do is you look for a similar company like yours in probably the same country or a similar market doing the same thing you're doing. And then you figure out what they say their valuation is. So say, for example, now, let me give what local companies in Nigeria. I'm going to just use a popular example. Coca-Cola right now in Nigeria, assuming that they're not a global brand, they're a Nigerian company, right? We'll look to India and say, what is Pepsi doing in India? How much they value their company? And in India, Pepsi is valuing their company at, let's say, 32 billion. Coca-Cola will say, okay, because India is valuing their company, Pepsi is valuing their company in India at 32 billion. Looking at the markets are similar in terms of size, in terms of people, in terms of the poverty level, in terms of so many things, in terms of policies. That means the value of my company is 32 billion because a similar company in a different climate but the same, environment is valuing at that price. So that's the comparable pricing method. Looking at similar companies in similar markets and benchmarking against what they say the valuation is. That's probably the easiest way to go about your valuation. It's not the most accurate, but it's good for early stage companies, really, especially when you don't have the expertise in-house to, do the mathematics and review your cash flow and do all those things to come across your valuation. So you can just do a comparable, pricing method to get your valuation. The second method is called the scorecard method, which is a bit more tricky, but is used more by angel investors. So you look at all the companies in the market, right? And then you compare the company you're evaluating against them. And then you find the average value of their valuation and say, hey, this is where this company fits in. So look at, let's say I'm a new entrant in the fintech space in Nigeria. I look at all the fintech startups in Nigeria, look at their value, and then come to an average and say, hey, my company is this value because this is the average value of all the fintech companies in Nigeria, right? Chances are when you use this method, you're going to have a very high valuation, but it kind of shows the promise, that the investment is a promising opportunity, because if the valuation of similar companies in the same market is very high, it kind of tells investors that, oh, okay, well, maybe there's something good going on here. So you ask the scorecard method. That's method number 2. Method number 3 is the discounted cash flow method. And usually you need a financial expert to do this. So basically, this is actually more difficult, and a lot of PE firms actually do this because this kind of gives the true value of it gives you a true sense of the valuation, but it's never correct. Like I said, valuation is an art and not a science, because various factors can affect valuation and affect the growth of a company. And to be honest, look at how COVID messed up a lot of things. A lot of companies valued themselves at a certain, range, and then COVID hits and businesses were failing and they had to downsize or do a down round and say, hey, my valuation is no more 10 million, I'm now 2 million, right? Because, things didn't happen the way they ought to, happen. So the discounted cash flow method is basically looking at the expected rate of return of a company. So saying company X is operating in Nigeria and they're projecting that in the next 5 years, company X is going to make X million based on the number of people are available in Nigeria, 200 million, which we are still not sure about. based on how much they can get in profit, and based on how much return we can get from this company when we invest in this company. So if we look at all this, right, this is the valuation of the company, because you're banking on the future profits, or how well the company will do in the future. That's the discounted cash flow method. That's why it's called the discounted cash flow. You look at the cash flow, the returns and all, and put your valuation based on it. Now, the problem with this method is, remember how I talked about COVID? Things like COVID can happen and boom, all your projections in the mud. And then your valuation just drops. So that's why I said, the valuation conversation is a very tricky one. And the last method is the cost to duplicate method. And this is the easiest, really, because you can sit down in your house and do it. The cost to duplicate method. So basically, you're valuing your company based on how hard it is for a competitor to duplicate your business. And the way you do that is to look at the amount of hours you spent building your software or building your solution. Look at how much time you spent on research. Look at future sales. Look at potential for no. You don't take into account future sales and potential for growth. You just take into account everything you put into the business. So cost of research, cost of development, all, and you factor in all the time you spent, drawing, writing your business plan and everything, and you put a monetary amount on that. So that's the cost of duplicate method. Now this is the easiest, but unfortunately, a lot of times when you use this method, you kind of undervalue your company, because you're not looking at the future potential of your company. You're looking at how much you have invested in now and how hard it is for someone to replicate the same business.